Attention men, now I want to see this one. I want you to tell me, do you think it's possible that you could have a balanced life? That your life can run tickety smooth with working so many hours on your business and having that time with your family and at the same time building a legacy? You know, I have somebody who thinks it's possible. So today I want to welcome you to Let's Get Real. Let's get real and start finding out, is it possible to build a life and have balance where you can have everything you want? Today is the day that we all start looking and thinking a little differently because we're at the end of the year. And for those who don't know me, my name is Glenda Kroll, and I am here as one of your hosts today on Let's Get Real. And my other host is...
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Harvick, and I am the co-host of this wonderful program, Let's Get Real. And as always, we bring to you some amazing guests that have some amazing things to talk about. Today is no different. And our guest today was raised by a single mom who gave birth to him at 14. And to me, that's a baby raising a baby. You know I was much older than that, and I still didn't know what to do. So I certainly can't imagine, being 14 years old. And we're going to fast forward a bit. And this is really interesting to me that the same week he found out he was going to be a father, he got in a little bit of trouble and joined the Navy, which I have great respect for that. My whole family has been in the Navy or the Army. So, I love that part. But at age 40, he decided he didn't like the guy in the mirror. And I know how that feels because there were times I looked at myself and thought, you can do more, you can be more. So I certainly understand that. And that is how he started his transformation journey. So everyone, I want to welcome Earnest Wood to our stage today.
Hey.
Hey, so sorry.
Hi, Glenda and Nicole. How are you?
How are you doing today? And thank you for joining us today.
I am fantastic, and I am looking forward to being on your awesome show. So let's
Thank
get real.
you. Yeah. Absolutely.
We are that you can join us, and what a thing to create today, because here, is there a chance of life to be balanced? You claim to say that you said that life can be balanced and that's what you can teach. But you didn't learn that at the beginning of your life, though, did you?
No, I was way out of balance. I was the guy who was always chasing money, trying to have a nice car, I always was trying to stay physically fit, but my mental attitude was absolutely horrible. And like I said, or like Nicole said, around 40 years old, I looked in the mirror and I was like, man, something's wrong. And I started reading and going to work on trying to fix myself. And it was a very long process. But what I found out that a lot of people were doing the same thing that I was doing, and a lot of people were getting stuck, kind of almost the same place I was getting stuck.
So what, first of all, was it in your life that made you actually stop to look at yourself? Because most people don't look at themselves. They just have this ego that they're always great. Or not, I won't say most, a lot of people. And unfortunately, it seems that there's women too, but men have a higher sort of ego that they're doing what, they're the ones type of thing. Mostly to sit back and really look at yourself, I give you kudos for that one.
Yeah. That's because that's one of the hardest things we can do,
right,
is do that mirror work, literally look in that mirror and say, okay, something has to change, and know that it has to start with you.
Yeah, I always say, because I had moments of happiness, like when my kids were born, different things with them, like when they graduated, going to college, different things. But overall, I just didn't feel happy for who I was. What I found out is I lacked gratitude bad. I was really, really bad about being grateful for anything. I lacked forgiveness, and I didn't have empathy. And that's where I had to start from. And once I started implementing those little things, it just started compounding, because you can have one, but you can still be out of balance. Like, you can be grateful, but you're still holding grudges against people, right?
Right.
I had to, for me to be balanced and being able to actually be happy and enjoy the person I was, those were the three things that I fixed. And
So let me interrupt you for a moment. So is that the time where you considered yourself to be an asshole?
yes, definitely. Well, most of my life, I guess I consider myself being an asshole up until about 45-ish is when I actually fixed all this stuff. Yeah, I ended up publishing a book called Asshole to Awesome. It's a journey to joy and happiness. And what it is, it's because so many people, we read all these books and we see everything and we know where we want to go, but we don't know where we even started. And recently somebody gave me this analogy. It's like putting a destination into your phone, right? Your GPS. You could put the destination, but if it doesn't have the starting point, it can't get you a road there. And that's what I found out is I always had these grand ideas of who I was supposed to be, but I didn't even know how to get on that right path to get there. You know, I would start running down the road and then run into a brick wall and had no idea how to get around it.
So, you know, I have a question for you. When you describe yourself as an asshole, what is your definition of that? Is that egotistical? Is that rude, not caring, thinking you were better than others? There's so many definitions of what an asshole can be. And if there is ego involved, there's usually a lot, going on with the person. But how would you describe your assholeness?
And see, that's why I use that word asshole, because everybody has their own little tidbit of asshole. So it leaves it open to interpretation, like when you read the book, right? But mine was, I was every is you can think of. I was sexist. I was racist. I said the meanest, rudest thing. But I was also the guy who would hold the door open for any lady as soon, I would go out of my way to help. But I just had these other asshole tendencies. Like, even being a dad, when I was a dad, like, I didn't allow my kids to make a mistake. Everything was always like perfectionist, right? Like, when I coached baseball, I was Bobby Knight on steroids. I had rages of fit, like road rage, pretty much anything that you can define as being an asshole. I was close to it in one way or another, besides being rude.
And did you like yourself at that time when you look back?
No, I did. What I figured out after doing all my work is all my stuff was all for like attention. I think a lot of it came back from not having my dad around in my life, besides a couple little small moments. And then growing up with my mom, she was basically same age as a sister for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I grew up with a lot of, like, almost an inferiority complex, you might say. And I was always looking for that attention in the wrong places by doing stupid things, saying that I was always looking for the shock factor. And that's because I didn't really like myself. I needed approval from somebody else or a laugh.
When you went on this journey now to start changing yourself, can you give us, so if somebody is in the position of maybe them being the asshole in life at this point, go through a bit of a journey of what you needed to go through and how you sort of moved through this syndrome of coming to the awesomeness.
For me, the main thing that I had to figure out was why I got triggered so much. Like, I got triggered by anything. Anything could set me off at any moment. But I also started finding out that a lot of it was due to I was horrible about sleeping. I could never shut down my brain. So I had to learn I started learning how to breathe properly, doing some meditation, worked on my getting some sleep, because sleep is vital. Sleep is I think it's the most overlooked thing that we screw up in this, especially in the United States. It almost became a badge of honor there for a little while. Hey, how little sleep can you live on?
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
But when your body's not working properly, and like by not having sleep, and then right now 70% of people are in a constant state of dehydration. That's kind of the statistic. So lack of sleep, and then you're dehydrated on top of that, you're set up behind the eight ball. You can't even, your mental state isn't even what it needs to be just to have you working properly, yet let alone having a good relationship and running a business, but we still try to do it.
It's like walking around drunk.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of proven stats. Here's a little one that a lot of people don't know. Just so they do this little time thing to us every year when they switch that time 1 hour.
Oh, I hate that.
It's horrible. It's the dumbest thing in the world. So that day that we lose an hour, heart attacks go up by 20 to 25%, and car accidents go up by 20 to 25%. The day that we gain the hour, they go down 20 to 25%. So right there, you already know how important just 1 hour of sleep one day is.
You know, and I'm from Arizona. We didn't change our time for 27 years. We did not change the time. I'm in South Carolina now. And as I look back, it's like, no one needs to change the time. There's no need for that. And it gets dark earlier. I'm more depressed. It's like, my God, I didn't get anything done. Now it's dark. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That's a great point to bring up.
Yeah. And that was something that they needed years ago when people would work on the farms.
Farmers, yeah.
But, we don't need that. And it just creates more havoc in the world, because although, when you speak to, we're all dealing with people worldwide. And now, instead of, you never keep track of what time it is where, because things keep changing. The time you figure it out, it's changing again.
The crazy thing is, we voted that crap in like 3 years ago to get rid of the time change in California, but they can't figure out how not to change the time. How about just not do it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keep your hands off the clock.
Yeah. Just don't set it back. Hey, there you go. We fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start seeing changes into your own life as you started making those changes happening?
100%. Even people would notice. One of the two moments in my life that made me like, I knew I had to change. I had a road rage incident that was absolutely out of control. Yikes. And then one time at work, one of my buddies said, "Hey, you're just like this guy." And no one in the world wanted to be that guy, right? He was a guy who bitched, complained, was the whiner. The only word that came out of his mouth is the F word. And when he compared me to that guy, I was like, dude, you have some issues. So then when I started changing, people were like, what are you doing different? Like, why? Like, they couldn't quite put a finger on it, but it was just, I had a certain like calmness to me, because once I was able to settle the brain down and get some sleep, I didn't have those little micro rage moments anymore, because I was able to respond to everything instead of react.
Wow, bingo. I think that's really the mic drop moment, because people don't realize, when we can step back for a moment in part of our lives, instead of reacting to things, and if we can step back and just really digest something and then think of a response, it can change everything in your life.
1000%.
But okay, so you start changing your world, and we talk about, you're saying about balance. So how do you get this balance in your life? Because I'm not sure I really agree with the fact of that we can lead a balanced life. I don't know if there's a true balance per se, or, like balance could be, at this point you're working more hours, and then at this point you're spending more family time. But so what do you constitute as balance? Let's start there.
And that's a great question. And this is something that I argue with the men all the time. And that's why I have to change some of my wording, because everybody thinks of balance as just equal time. And that's kind of what everybody's come to grips with, right? You've got to have 8 hours of work, 8 hours of family life, and 8 hours of sleep. But for me, balance is all about the fundamentals. It's about optimizing time. And that all starts again with sleep, right? So if you're sleeping properly and you're hydrated, and then you fix your diet, and you start fixing movement, because we lack movement in today's world. In the United States, the average person walks less than 4,500 steps, and
Wow.
at just at 5,600 steps, you can change so much stuff about your life, because there's different hormone drops, you get cortisol flushes, you get, it's just so many different things. So just by instituting those little tiny like fundamentals, now you start fixing your physiology, and then your psychology comes in, because now your brain's able to work better. So if your brain's able to work better, now you don't have to spend the 14 hours at work. A lot of people think, hey, I got to spend 16 hours at work, but they only do 4 hours of work. And I can almost guarantee you like 80% of people do that crap. But what I've found is I work best with 28-minute sessions. So my focus thing is, when I'm doing deep work, I set my thing for 28 minutes. I dive as hard as I can. I go as hard as I can. As soon as my thing goes off, I stand up, I grab some water, I do my push-ups, I do some walking, whatever. I come back 28 minutes. I get more stuff done in 3 to 4 hours than most people do in their entire day or even week.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the way for a long time. I was that guy who was trying to work 12 hours, and it was killing me. But now that I've figured out, hey, you get your sleep right, you get this right, now you get your focus right. Now you have that extra time to spend with your family. And then spending time with the family, it doesn't have to be 8 hours. But if you put your phone away, you put your work away, and you're there 100% for that family, that is so much more important than having 7 hours with them while you're on your phone or watching TV.
I agree.
Right?
Exactly.
Huge. And that's like, probably one of the most important things that we can do in our lives, right? We are so addicted to our phones that it has taken away so much of our lives. So just as you said, so those are watching, just think the next time you sit down with your family to have dinner, or let's put it this way, do you sit down with your family at least once a week? If not, I used to do it when my kids lived at home.
Me too.
Every single night we sat down for dinner, like except for like a Saturday night or something. The kids had their friends, we had our so forth. But most of the time, dinner was. I grew up that way. I didn't know any other way. Dinner was sitting down with the family, having your deal, talk about your day's events, and eat your dinner. But that doesn't happen anymore.
And those are the things that we, as a society, right? Everybody got so busy because we're inundated with stuff. We're inundated with the news. We're inundated with our phone, work, and everything's always constant. Before cell phones, a lot of people don't even remember that, but like before cell phones, man, it was easy, dude. You just like, if you weren't at home, nobody called you because there was no way to get a hold of you.
Right.
And you didn't miss anything. They had a message when you came back, you called them, and you were able to enjoy the time you were having. But now when you go out to eat, you look around, there's less than 5% of the people are actually engaged in a conversation with the person at the table.
True.
Exactly. And the parents and the kids are on their phones.
Oh,
It's crazy. I always made mine, put it down. You don't need it for these 45 minutes that we're going to eat, And of course, that was the rule. That was the rule. So,
and that's where, and that's again, see that rule right there. They didn't like it, but they learned to live with it, right?
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of us nowadays, because of some of the BS that's out there, we give in to the kids so much. Oh, they whine. So, they whine. So let's make them a different dinner than we used to. Like when I was growing up, whatever for dinner, it was dinner. That was dinner. You didn't go make something else, right? But now you see parents, they'll run to 3 different fast food places to get their kids what they want to eat. It's like, there's a happy medium there, right?
Exactly. Now, I do remember the days, though, when you talk about balance. As parents, we were expected to have our kids busy 24/7. It seemed like, they had to dance at school. They had to go, to play soccer. They had to do this and that. And I did get caught up in that. However, I did throw community service work in there as well. But as I look back, it's like, did my kids really need to do all that? But that was that, I'm going to beat my chest and be the best mom ever. My kids are going to play 10 instruments and 16 sports. And it's like, my God, what did we do to our kids? I think they were more tired than I was.
I find, oh, go ahead. Were you saying?
No, please go ahead.
In that house, that's one of those little tricky things as being a parent too, because sometimes our desire to show how good we are gets in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to. For me, I was that guy. I was like, my kids weren't allowed to make mistakes, and like when I was their coach, they were even less allowed to make mistakes. But what I found was more of that was on me. It's because I had issues. Like I didn't want to be looked at as something less than I was because of, again, I lacked forgiveness. I wasn't able to forgive myself for making a mistake. And if I thought I made a mistake raising my kids, then I was, and so it was all that play. It's all those things just work together as being a good parent and being a good person.
Yeah. Mental mind F, it just eats at you sometimes. I agree.
So with your analogy of bringing balance into life, which, again, depending on which philosophy or what you want to determine as what balance is. And I agree with you. I don't believe that we can have true balance of, and it isn't that. The balance is giving enough for your family and doing enough at work. And at times it's doing more than enough on each side, because we do need to, in life, as far as our careers and whether it's our businesses, the best thing is to do more than what is requested. And even in your house with your children, you're doing more that's requested, where you build that connection, because that connection is what we really need with our families. Because if you don't do it when they're young, you're not going to have it when they get older and they're off on their own. Trust me. But I'm going to tell you, it's finding those happy mediums that makes us happy. But you also talk about the other thing of building legacies. And let's talk about that, because, for me at this point in time in my life, I always look at that. What's going to happen when I'm gone? And, it was always something that I thought of. I don't know why. I was very much an old soul. And when my parents were going to be gone, I always thought as a little kid about my family, what's going to happen when my parents aren't around. And, so it makes me, about, the one thing that I believe that is really important in life is talking to your family about these issues. But let's talk about these issues now, about how do we create a legacy?
I think for me, everybody gets to that point in their life where they've done enough, right? They've done enough for their business success. And some guys and some women never get there, right? They work until the day they die. But I love the saying that there's never been a billionaire or a millionaire on their deathbed wishing they worked harder and made more money.
Exactly.
And I actually, unfortunately, a year ago, I have a buddy. He was right around a billionaire. I mean, he was basically a billionaire. But he was still working, and he was working on not working anymore. But he ended up getting he had his own airplane, and he ended up crashing and dying right before Christmas.
Wow. So
he never, ever got to experience that life of all the work that he did. And I think a lot of people get to that point where we start thinking, and maybe success has a different definition. It's about passing on. The way I learned it was because I did this eulogy thing. It's say you passed and you were able to actually go to your funeral and see how many people were there and what they say about you, and do that exercise. And it is like profound, like it is mind blowing because it actually makes you reflect and makes you think about all the different things you've done with people, to people, how many people you've touched, how many people you've shared good experiences with. And when you do that, it helps you shift what you want to leave behind. For me, for a long time, all I wanted to do was try to build as much money as possible to be able to, so my kids didn't, ever have to. Now it's all about, like, I want people to know that I was a good guy. Like, I was kind, I helped others. And that's my thing now. I really, really like to help other people get to a spot that they're happy in their own life.
I like that. And I'm really with you. And when we talk about a legacy, I know that most people think it's about financial, how much you're leaving your kids, what's going to be left behind. But, it means more than that. And, I learned at a young age. Unfortunately, I lost my dad 30 years ago. He was very young. He was 60 years old when he passed away. And it was a huge tragedy in my life because I was daddy's girl. So he was my world around me. And at the end of the day, it's not what you're left with financially, but really what you're left with is the memories that you hold in your heart. And from that, I learned myself that for my kids, it was all about creating memories and having those times together. And even today, now that my kids are adults and grown, it's not about, holidays come and what presents, it's more of, we don't buy presents, we buy memories, we buy time together, we do things that we can spend the time with. And, we've done trips together that we can laugh, and we still talk back, of the times when we went here and there and the kids laugh and, oh, that was so much fun. That's what a legacy is. Because to me, it's not always what you're giving to your children. The legacy is teaching them the skills that they need to learn. It's the old story of the fisherman, right? You either buy them the fish or you give them the fishing pole. And I think our greatest legacy that we can give to our children and our family is the fishing pole. And I think as a parent, I think it's really our responsibility to give them the fishing pole. And to what I said a little bit earlier is to have these conversations because, death is not the worst thing in the world. It's part of life. It's the journey that we go on. But the most important part of it all is that when the time comes that it happens, being prepared gives you that bit of peace of mind. Like, it's always a horrible, heartfelt thing. But the most important thing when you have to go through it is sort of understanding where you're going for the person who's being left behind. And, I can tell you, for somebody who's been left a lot of responsibilities on my plate, that having that time in my own life to think about those things and to understand where I'm leading I think it's the most important thing that we can do for our loved ones around us. Because, wouldn't it be the best thing of leaving your kids with knowing where life is supposed to be for them, or what to be doing and all of that, having that more of that empowered feeling than that lost, out of control feeling?
So to go along with what you're saying, my mother recently passed. She was 63, I believe. Yes, right around 63. Didn't turn 64 yet. And she never learned like forgiveness in her life. We had a fight about 3.5 years ago, and it took about 2 years for us to even talk again. And I thought we were on a good roll together, and recreating the relationship. But she found out she had cancer, and the next day that she found out, she went and changed her will and kicked me out of it, and took me off the executor and kind of things like that. And And then fast forward, she had a stroke. She ended up in the hospital. They found that she had cancer in her entire body. And we went and chatted and we talked. And I just thought, I say, hey, Mom, you know what? I forgive you, I forgive you for everything. And then, I hope that you can forgive me. And I wish we never had this fight. But what she told me, she was like, well, you can shit in one hand and wish in the other one and see which one fills up faster. And that was the very last words my mom ever said to me before she passed. And like when she did that, I was like, that was like the final little straw that I knew that I was not going to hold grudges anymore to anything. I try to, I'm not, believe me, I am far from perfect, but I've tried to fix all the little things, that I have done wrong. I don't hold the grudges. I forgave my dad, forgave my mom, forgave anybody else. I forgave myself for all the stupid shit that crap that I've done. And now I'm just working on, hopefully, my kids forgive me for some of the little things that I did, because we all try the best as what we have, right? We're all doing the best with what we have, but a lot of it is just crap that was piled on and passed on. And until somebody, like you just said, you have that, until somebody figures out a proper way of giving it to them, their legacy, that proper happiness, giving them something to enjoy, death is going to happen, but it doesn't have to be the worst thing ever. It can just be, hey, this person helped me get to where I'm at. And I'm super grateful for that.
And first of all, my true condolences for, your family, what you've gone through and your mother's loss. It's very sad when you hear that, because well, first of all, what an incredible lesson, a sad lesson, but an incredible lesson for you for moving forward, because I believe everything in life are lessons that we live, and hopefully they're to teach us. And of course, the last thing you want to do is to have that same type of life repeat in your own world with your own family. It's a horrendous thing to happen. But most importantly, like we say, if you can, build on relationships, because isn't everything in life relationships?
It's all relationships. Like there's a whole bunch of books that talk about selling, and like pretty much life is you're always selling yourself or being sold. Relationships, everything basically. It's funny, man, that you're 100% correct.
We're actually all builders, if you really want to think of it. We come into our world with nothing, and as our world starts, we have to build. We have to build on our skills. We have to build on our relationships. We have to build on who we are. We have to build on everything that's around us. But the most important thing that we need to build is, first of all, just what you said earlier, to build on yourself. Because if you don't start building on who you need to be, a kinder, gentler, understanding, empathetic, considerate person, then what do you think is going to come to you? And for that, and as you said, that was part of your assholeness. Assholeness. Yes, Glenda, you can do it. Because, that's what you found. So it was like you're starting to build your own new world, your own new Earnest world. And for that, I applaud you, because that's the most hardest thing in the world, for, first of all, to understand what you're doing wrong. And second of all, to take control of your own life, to start changing it, because most people don't.
No. You are correct. That's kind of what led me to start this coaching thing, because I started chatting with people, like they would ask, what are you doing different? And then I start chatting with them and they're like, oh man, maybe I can implement that, or maybe I do that. And I have a couple buddies, they always call me up about certain advice about certain things, because I'm probably one of the most anal people you'll ever meet. Like when I start to learn something, I go so deep. Sometimes it's and that was back to the perfectionist thing. I never wanted to not know everything about everything. But now I've learned, like, you just got to be well-rounded. And then everybody has their own little tweak, right? And it's whatever worked for me might not work for you. It's probably not going to work for that guy. But there are certain little things and fundamentals that have to be in place to allow you to get better. And that's what most of us don't have. We don't even have the fundamentals. And with the fundamentals, and that's why I always say, like, balance starts with the fundamentals, and then optimizing those, and then you can have balance in life. And is it going to be a true, like, time balance? No, but everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be having happy relationships. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. And life is just better when you have the correct fundamentals and a balance.
So we talk about fundamentals. What are you talking actually about when you say fundamentals? Can you give me, define that for me?
So my fundamentals, I've kind of hit on them quite a few times. It's sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. It's proven that only 1 out of every 12,000 people can actually function 100% with less, right? So your chances of being that person is the same as getting hit by lightning. So basically, you need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You need to be hydrated. And hydration is, in today's world, even our water is ultra processed and it has extra crap in it that you don't need. So what I've found out is, like, I take a little thing of Celtic sea salt 4 times a day, little pinch of it, and I drink my water, usually with some lemon in it, because it helps alkali the water. And see, yeah. So you have sleep, you have your hydration, and then to me, the second most important right behind sleep is breathing and learning how to breathe properly. In today's world, many of us overbreathe. We mouth breathe. Mouth breathing is absolutely horrible for you. It even changes your jaw structure. It can actually deform different parts of the jaw. It doesn't filter the air properly. So with just sleep, with hydration, proper breathing, you can get rid of 70 to 80% of all diseases that are out there in the world, including depression, anxiety, and all those things. And I had depression. My family had depression. My uncle killed himself. My grandma basically went through it. My mom went through it. I had it, like, horrible stages. But what I found was, like, I found a couple breathing techniques. I haven't had a day in 4 years. I haven't had 1 day of depression.
Go ahead. Not 1 day of depression, but do you think it was just the breathing that has changed your depression?
Well, it's the whole fundamentals that I set up around it. Like, I noticed it more with the breathing, but at the same time that I learned my breathing, I was able to get more sleep. So the breathing led to more sleep. And then once I had more sleep, then I learned about how important hydration is. I do a lot of fasting. I intermittent fast 16 hours every day. And then I do a 24 to 48 hour fast every month and a 72-hour fast every other month. And those are like the little things that the body needs, and it's how it's set up. And that's what I mean by the fundamentals, because everything started getting better once I learned how to breathe, once I learned how to control the breath, and then I learned how to control my thoughts. And then once I learned...
Whoa, that's exactly what I was waiting for.
Oh, see, it took me a while to get there.
You see, here's the thing. Yes, sleep is amazing and your body absolutely needs it. Yes, your breathing is so important, because if you don't breathe right, you don't put the proper oxygen into your body. Yes, it's really important to be eating healthy and getting some exercise, but I think it's extremely important about how you think. Because when you think the world is against you, when you are sitting there and talking those negative thoughts that are knocking you down, it doesn't matter how much you sleep. It doesn't matter what you eat. It doesn't matter anything. It's all in the way you think. And I see this that's my belief. So it's really about how you empower yourself and build yourself up. Talk to me.
I'm listening to you, and my brain's going, and I'm trying to listen. But I agree, so it's funny because 1000%, you have to have proper thoughts. But without those other things in your life, it's hard to control those thoughts, right? So they play together, and that's where that balance comes in.
Exactly. So what I said at the beginning, when you and I were just talking before we went on, life is a circle and everything is connected. And if we don't stay connected with our thoughts, with our sleep, with our breathing, with our exercise, with our respect, all these things, it is all connected. And that's, in my opinion, what leads to a strong, healthier life.
That's the fundamentals that I was chatting about, and that's where the balance happens, right? And it's just, I love that you said it. It's just about bringing everything in. And so many of us are always trying to do this or trying to do that. It's the same thing when people try to diet, right? What is it? What's the stats on that? I think it's 80% of people who diet, like within 2 months, have gained the weight back plus 5 pounds.
Exactly.
And you think about it, though, it's because you don't have the discipline. You don't have the proper mindset. You're not doing the other fundamental things correctly. You're just trying to fix one. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on one dumbass thing that you're doing. And if you don't fix, if you don't have the correct things in place, you can just Band-Aid everywhere. But it's just a Band-Aid, and that Band-Aid is going to fall off and you're going to start bleeding again. But once you've corrected those and you built everything on, how do they build the biggest and tallest and best buildings? With the biggest, best foundation, right?
Exactly.
So that's the only way we can be the biggest, best we can be, is by having the proper foundation underneath us.
And on a little sprinkle, I'm such a big advocate of gratitude, because if we're not grateful for what we are given, if we're not acknowledging the good things that come into our life, I believe that gives way for the bad things to seep in.
1000%. Every single morning, right after I do my hydration and my breathing, I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. One about myself, one about my spouse, and then one about my kids or the world. And just starting your day off like that, it allows you to be so much happier. And then when you're stuck in that crappy, when you're stuck in the traffic, instead of being mad about it, you just throw on a podcast, listen to Glenda and Nicole over here, and be happy instead of being pissed off. Just be grateful that you have a freaking car to get where you need to go.
Well, yeah, be grateful you got a car. Be grateful that you got up. Be grateful that your legs are carrying you. Be grateful that your voice still works. Be grateful that your eyes still work.
Be grateful that your internet came back on.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to see you again.
I was just panicked, plugging everything. We have a really bad storm going on right now. Glenda knows about my internet, so I apologize, but I'm telling you. I'm back. Absolutely.
So, Nicole, we'll sum this up in a great way, because it's something worth saying again. And it's what we spoke about earlier, about the real secret to having any balance in our lives is that we have to realize that our world and our lives are centered around a circle, and everything in life is connected.
Mm-hmm. I agree, 100%.
Right? Your sleep, your hydration, your breath, everything.
Relationships.
Well, we live in a world, and as I said, you maybe go back later and listen, that we're all builders in our lives. And everything that we do, we have to build upon one thing to another. And relationships are the key factor in life, in every single stage of our life. and every single place in our life. It is all about relationships.
Absolutely.
And the most important relationship is a relationship we have with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Absolutely. And I know that from having been in a place where I didn't like myself for a long time. You know, I didn't like what I was putting up with. I didn't like that I kept silent about things that I, you know, with an ex-husband who was a narcissist. And I really started disliking me. And I thought, well, something's wrong here. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And that's when I did like you did, Ernest, is I looked in the mirror and thought the only one who can fix it is me.
That is so true. And it's funny, like most people can't even sit in the room by themselves for 5 minutes without having their phone on, without having music playing, and just enjoy the quietness that's in you, right?
Oh, well, all the wisdom that's in you, if you take the time to let it come out. We are very wise. We're very creative. And for me, I always tell people sitting in your silence is a superpower.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
And the other part is if we can just, you know, it's been playing on my mind in the last 2 weeks. I've had a lot of issues happening in my own life, and I've had a lot of time to reflect. I'm really a big person on reflection, because reflection gives me so much, first of all, gratitude for one thing. It gives me looks back and of what I have achieved or what I haven't achieved, but the non-achieving things is actually shows me a lot of gratitude as well, and how I can rebuild myself to become stronger. And I don't think that things that happen in your life that are negative. I actually believe that they can spring us forward and help teach us even greater lessons.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I always talk about that. When you're mired in that moment, you're not going to see it. But when you can look back, you know, and that's why I always say that relationship with my ex and that marriage that dissolved didn't happen to me. It happened for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time, and it was very painful. But when I look back, I wouldn't be sitting here right now had I not gone through that.
And that's what's and when you reach, and then when you get to the next level, right, when you stop allowing those triggers and that and all those things, and then you just now you're enjoying the process of living life. I use awesome as in my book as it's like a far away destination. I'm never going to get there, and I know it, but I enjoy the process every day of being a little more awesome. Like I use awesome a little different than some people, right? For me, it's like the far away North Star. I saw you, Glenda, kind of give me a but right, if you're never going to reach that destination.
Awesomeness doesn't have to be for a long period. You can have moments of awesomeness too.
No, I agree with you, but like the way I use it is the same as like somebody striving to be a perfection, right? Or perfect. Mm-hmm. You're never going to be perfect. Sure. And once you realize that you're not going to be the first person ever to be perfect, then you can start enjoying the process of striving to be excellent. And now when obstacles come up or stuff gets in your way, instead of getting mad about it, you just learn from it. Like there's very few things anymore that I get mad about. I have so much little stupid crap that goes wrong every day, or like I was working on my website and I did the whole freaking thing and I didn't save it when I went to clear a page and I lost the entire thing.
It's happened. Yeah.
You know, right? And before I would have just took the damn computer and I'd thrown it out the window. Like it would have legit been flying across the room. But now I'm like, whatever. And now I was a little better at doing it. And I did it so much faster because now I learned. And then I learned I never do that dumb crap again. But those are the little things when you enjoy the process of life, instead of focusing on being perfect or everything that will happen to you in the past. It makes it you enjoy it more and you're grateful for it. You're happy about it. And everything just goes so much easier because like you said, you get, I think you said it earlier, Glenda, like if you're giving out bad stuff, you're going to get that bad stuff back. So the more good stuff that you put out, you're going to get more good stuff. Yeah, you're always going to have some learning experiences because that's how we grow.
And it's true, it's the path of life. And, you know, it's when, if you stay in the comfort zone, you're never going to grow. Life doesn't happen in the comfort zone.
100%.
Yeah. Step over that fear, man. That's where the miracles happen.
Well, it's you know, it gets a little hot in the fire, but it can be warm on your tush when you're just beginning. But I'll tell you something, you're going to sky high, move into that role that you need to move into, or that life that you deserve is when you get into that fire, because you're going to be jumping out of that pretty quickly, because you're going to start to skyrocket out. And that's what people need to know. So, Ernest, we're getting to the end of this, but not even just the end. And I want to take what we have just a little bit of extra time is, you know, we're coming to the end of our year. And since you're now in the state of awesomeness, what are you looking to achieve for yourself in your new state of awesomeness now?
I'm there. Like, for the most part, I'm there. I'm just trying to build the business a little more, because it's hard to build a brand, especially, you know, it's easy in today's world because we have so much social media and everything, but it's also hard because you have so many people trying to do similar things, right? I've put together a fantastic little group of guys and women to have a retreat, a golfing retreat over in San Diego for a special, you know, group. It's a little pricey, but this group that I put together, it's like a very high-end CPA. I have a trust attorney that is like the trust attorney's attorney. I have a nutritionist from one of the highest like spas in all of San Diego, pretty much all of the world.
Nice.
I have a top-end chiropractor, and all these people are willing to come chat with these guys who are going to come over. And it's all because like of friendships that I've been able to make by the changes that I've been able to put in my life. I don't think I could have pulled this group together like 5 or 10 years ago, because they would have been like, nah, dude, we're not going to get associated with you. So
you're too mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, I used to say some stupid crap, and sometimes people just don't like it. But that was from my Navy days. I got, you know, some of the Navy humor.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so honestly, I've really gotten into that spot where I enjoy life more than I don't by a long shot. And when stuff happens, bad stuff happens, my wife, I've been trying to teach her to stop stressing on everything. And she always takes everything's a what if, right? And if I can leave this to everybody out there, stop what ifing stuff, man. Until it happens, there's no reason to think of the worst all the time. What if I run out of gas? What if I do this? Well, what if you don't, man? Like, what if you just enjoyed your day and stopped worrying about all the stupid shit?
Well, how about what if you know that things go well? What if the stars start shining? What if, like, turn it to the other side, instead of looking at it on the negative, throw onto the positive now, because, you know, it's sounding like, you know, you have really changed your world into awesomeness. And I'm thrilled to hear that, because there's nothing that makes, you know, my life feeling better is when I, you know, Nicole and I are very much the same type of people. We lead with our hearts, and believe me, we're here to help. And that's what it's supposed to be about. And that's what I say to people, because that's my true definition of life, is giving without looking for something back in return. Thank you. And I'm such a believer on that. And you know what? So, you know, for me, it's, what if tomorrow is going to be even better than today?
Mm-hmm. Right. And we all know the law of attraction. The more you think about something, the easier it is. It just comes to you because you're calling it in. So I'm going to call in happiness and joy and, you know, emotional freedom, whatever it is I need. That's what's going to be going through my mind all the time.
And before we come to our very end, Ernest, is there any last words that you would like to say?
Just that always, every day, just be grateful for something. I would highly suggest starting a gratitude journal. Write 3 things you're grateful for. It's definitely one about yourself, and then do an act of kindness every day. You can contact me at earnestwood.com. My book's on Amazon. All profits right now, this is my act of kindness. All profits go to help this little dude with leukemia. He's 7 years old. And from now on, I'm just going to find somebody to help all the way down the road until I sell enough books that it actually helps the person.
Nice.
It's not huge. It's not like a life-changing sum of money, but it's just a little bit to help. And yeah, if you'd like to chat and see how you can get a little more balanced out, earnestwood.com. You can actually download a free copy there also. But Glenda and Nicole, you guys have been awesome. It's been great time chatting with both of you.
Thank you so much.
And just to let anybody know who is watching, below this, you'll also see Ernest's link to his Facebook, so you can always message him there as well. That there'll always be connections. And of course, anybody who's used to watching us, you know that we can never leave a day go by with our dear Nicole to sum things up for us.
Well, I'm sorry I popped out, everyone. You were having a storm here in South Carolina and everything just boom. And so I know I missed a little bit, but I think I got a lot of what you're about, Ernest. And I love what you're doing and what you're talking about. And I think that people have to remember is change starts with us. Change starts within us. And we're the only ones that can do it. You think other people, even talking to psychologists or psychiatrists, yeah, that can bring an awareness to you. But what you have to do, and it's not easy, but I got to a point where I knew things had to change. And they hadn't been changing up till then. And that's when it dawned on me. It's me. It's me. I've got to do it for me. And, in a divorce, I had 2 girls watching me. So I looked in the mirror one day and just started slowly. And I was scared. There was fear in there. But the minute you step over your fear, that's where your miracles happen. And as I look back, that's what happened to me and for me. And for one, I would highly recommend, if you feel like you're not living your life to the fullest, look in the mirror and ask yourself, why not? And then if that doesn't work for you, you're a man, call Ernest, please. please do that. Yeah. So thank you very much for being here, Ernest. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure was mine.
We enjoyed your conversation so much. And listen, we say it's for men, but this is for what we talked about was for everybody. Kindness is something that you don't have to pay for. It's just a change in attitude, a change in the way you look at things in life, and holding on to that gratitude every day that life has given you. That extra day should be a reason enough to be giving a little bit of kindness to anybody that passes by you. So just remember, it's all about being that better special person. And if everybody did that to one another, what a different world it would be. Thank you, Ernest. It was a total delight having you here today. We did enjoy it. And please remember, reach out to him, if nothing else, for just a conversation. It's always the way. Thank you so very much.
Bye.